Okay, hi. I am going to demonstrate sort of how to create a portfolio using the design system that you have created, meaning selecting and using a good color palette for your work, the fonts that you might have selected for yourself, and translating that from your business card to a resume using the same fonts to your portfolio so you can have a unified look for your personal brand when you show your portfolio. So the first thing I kind of wanted to show you, and that's something that we have seen earlier, is an example of my design and personal brand system. So I kind of already have created this version where I have a responsive logo that changes based on the context. So if it's on a small business card, my logo is going to be a little bit different compared to if it's going to be large on a computer screen versus how it's going to look on a pen or a USB drive or a t-shirt, etc. So I've kind of already created this personal brand. I also have some elements that I'm using for my personal brand as well that I will incorporate into different parts of my portfolio, my business card, my website, just to kind of keep a cohesive look throughout all my different touch points that my audience might come across. And I already have a font that I have selected that I'm going to be using throughout my website, throughout my portfolio, throughout my resume, and a color scheme that I have set up. So I have this color palette down here that I'm going to be using, as well as this font that I'm going to be using. And earlier today, we kind of took a look at how I managed to create a business card really quickly using, of course, design principles such as hierarchy to call out my name as being the most important thing that's on there. That's where the eye is going to be drawn to, as well as my logo, of course. My logo is actually the biggest thing that's on here, so that's where the eye gets drawn into. But the next important thing is my name and my position and the website. So that's kind of where I want the user or the audience to look at. Of course, I'm keeping it nice and clean. I'm choosing what information I'm putting on my business card, the most important information for my audience or whoever I'm interacting with to know. So I'm not putting my full address on there. I'm just putting my phone number, my email, my website, the logo, which is my brand, and my name and the position that I have. And that could be photographer, that could be graphic designer, that could be anything that you want to apply or have people see you as. And on the back, I have this QR code where I went to qrcodemonkey.com and filled out the V-card version of that to have as much information on there as possible. So when I hand that business card out, somebody can just scan that QR code and put it all the information right into their phone digitally, and it's very convenient for them to do so. So that being said, I'm going to expand out what I have created for my personal brand, my colors, and my logo, and the font that I'm using to create a background for my portfolio and a template that I'm going to be using for my entire portfolio. So I'm going to switch over to, actually first what I'm going to do is just to make sure I have that reference of all my colors. I'm just going to copy and paste over my color palette into InDesign. So I'm just going to hit copy for this palette right away. And then I'm going to move over to InDesign and create my portfolio. So if you're creating a portfolio in in Illustrator, you can always use the backgrounds that you create in Illustrator and move them into InDesign, but I'm going to create it all in InDesign just as a reference, and then you can copy and paste those and use that as a template for each page. So I'm setting up my portfolio at 17 by 11, and I'm going to have my orientation here at landscape. We need 24 pages, and I'm actually going to be using, I'm not going to have facing pages. I'm just going to be using one page at a time. So I'm going to be creating 24 pages straight up and down that I'm going to copy and paste my portfolio template into. So clicking that off, I'm going to keep my margins at 1/2 inch, and since I'm not going to actually be printing outside of my pages, I'm going to keep it contained within. I'm going to turn off my bleed, but if you do want to have any image or a solid background, then you might want to include the bleed. So I would go with 1/8 of an inch or 0.125 inches here. And that'll give you a little bit of a guide to where to expand out your artwork to. But I'm not going to be printing borderless. I'm going to contain it within. So just for the sake of showing you what bleeds would look like, I will add some bleeds, but I'm not going to be going outside of my 11 by 17 area. We'll click Create over here. And now I have, if I click on my pages over here, I have 24 pages over here for my portfolio. And for now, I'm just gonna leave my front page blank over here, and we'll come up with a cover for my portfolio later on. For now, I want to focus on page 2, where I'm going to create my template that I'm going to be using for the rest of my portfolio. And one way that you can kind of create that, a really easy way to do that, is by using these parent pages over here. So I have a parent, and all of these pages will have the exact same information on it as this a parent over here. And that's really nice because I can just design one page and then every other page in my portfolio that I have under A over here will repeat that background, which is nice to have. So my first page, and you could also create different parents over here as well. So this is a parent. If I wanted to create a B parent for a different design that I'm going to be using, then I can right click over here and click New Parent, and that will create a B parent. And then I can click on OK, and I have B parent. And I would just drag this B parent onto everything else over here. I can select all of these at the same time and drag that over here. And, well, individually, I guess, I'll have to change this over to B. Yep, sorry. So every time I drag and drop that B parent into here, that's going to change the layout of that. I'm not going to do it for all of them, just so we can kind of see how that would look like. So I'm going to click on my B parent over here, and we're going to create a B parent background. So if we double click on that, it's going to open up this page. If I zoom out, I only have one page. This is where I'm going to start bringing in my background. I'm going to switch over, or actually, yeah, let's do that. I'm going to switch over to my Illustrator page or Illustrator file, and I'm actually going to bring in some of these elements over here. So I have this nice big circular sort of barbed wire element that I used for my business card right up here. And I'm going to copy that over, and I'm going to use that same color, that nice, really bright beige that's sort of very subtle. And I'm going to use that in my template. So I'm just going to hit copy to copy that element over, and then I'll go back to InDesign and paste that element in there. And it's kind of small here, but that's okay. I'm going to resize it to make it bigger and place it exactly kind of where I want to place it. So something like this over here. And if I hit the W button in InDesign, I kind of see what that would look like in preview mode. So I cut everything else out and I'm only looking at my page. So that's what it would look like with a preview. If I hit W again, it shows me the regular mode where I can see outside of my page. And from here, I'm going to go ahead and use my type tool and create a text box over here so that I have a title. And I'm just going to make it this big over here, and I'm going to change the font size to about maybe 48. And my font that I used is called Jose Fin Sans, and I'm going to use that font throughout because I'm using that on my business card, I'm using that on my resume, I'm going to use that on my portfolio for the titles. So here I can type in the title that I want to use for that background, for the B parent. If I don't want, or if I want to change or modify this, then, and I want it editable, I won't put it in the B parent. But I will create a little text box down here that has some of my information, such as my email address and perhaps my website. So I'm going to zoom in, Command plus over here, and I'm going to type in Marceli Jasinski at triton.edu. And then I'm going to do a couple spaces over here just so I can have a nice look over here. And I'm going to write down triton.edu for my website. Of course, this should be your information if you're going to go that route. Of course, you're not required to. You can choose how you want to create each page, but I'm going to do it this way just so that I have some context. If somebody's looking at each page, they're always reminded that they're looking at my portfolio over here. So Marceli Jasinski, graphic designer, for example. And that will always be here on the bottom. I can then sort of adjust how I want that to be, put that by the margin over here, and then I'm going to change the type. I'm going to change this to Jose Fin Sans, and I'm going to make it light over here. And then I'm going to change the color of the text by clicking on my little text or going into my properties and making sure that I have my text fill selected. And I'm going to actually need to import my color palette in there. So to do that really quickly, I'm going to go back to my Illustrator file over here and zoom out, go to my color palette down here, and just copy that over. If you happen to know the RGB values, you can do it that way as well, but I'm going to copy this over into InDesign this way. And when I do that, I'm going to put it outside of my artboard. And when I do that, usually, if I click on my text over here, usually it'll import those colors right into my swatches over here. So now I can just reference these from now on. So I can delete this because I don't need it anymore. I can click on my text and I can select this lighter text over here, or maybe this darker text so that I can see it a little bit more clearly. I'm always looking for contrast and readability when it comes to my portfolio design. So let's put that down right there, just a couple clicks down because I'm picky, and that's going to be fine right there. Up here though, I know that I'm going to want a title on each page. So if I'm going to, for example, use my font here, my Jose Fin Sans, I'm going to use regular for the title. And increase the font to, let's start with 60. And I'm going to just type in something just for a guide. I'm going to type in logos, logo design, as a guide. I'm not worried about the color because I'm going to change this later. And I'm going to just kind of change the size maybe to about 48, maybe 36, just to keep it sort of smaller, but it's there, it's featured. And here, I know that I'm going to want to have a little divider, so that's why I'm really putting this here as a guide to how I'm going to divide things. So I'm going to have a little straight line. I'm going to choose the line tool, and I'm going to make a line going from the margin, and I'm holding the shift button to make sure it's a straight line, to about over here. I think that looks good. And I'm going to change my stroke from 1 point to 2 points. Just because I like that thickness. And I'm going to change that color of the stroke to my dark ochre here. And then I can basically choose to remove that or copy it and delete it. And that's going to be my background for my B parent page. I can click on my pages over here, and then when I go to my A page, there's nothing here. But if I scroll down to page 2, my B page, I have this in here. And if I select anything on my background, I can't move it around. It's locked in place because it's in my B parent. So I have a nice B parent page template, and it's on every B parent that I have over here. So this is my A over here on my pages. If I want that to have my B parent, then I can just drag and drop it there, and that adds that background template to it. So it's a really nice, quick way to have consistency throughout all your pages in your portfolio. And what I'm looking for is to make sure that any artwork that I start putting into my pages, they're not going to be distracting, or rather my background isn't going to be distracting from the work that I'm trying to show. So I'll continue sort of just adding my B parent to all my pages here. One other way that you can do it as well, if you don't want to make that many trips to the B parent, is to just delete all these pages. And if you see that you have 16 left, you can just keep on taking that B parent and making a quick copy of that until you get to 24. So that's a quicker way to kind of copy these over. Okay, so all of these are B, and my cover page is A, which is blank. So that's perfect. From here, what I'm going to do, now that I have everything in my B parent over here, I'm going to start creating my pages. So I'm going to paste in my logo design over here, my text, and I'm just going to place it right in that corner over there for consistency. You can also click over here on the workspace and go to Essentials Classic, and that will also kind of give you a little bit of a different view for your work area. So whatever you kind of feel more comfortable with, whatever tools you want to have appear, you can change your workspace. For this, I changed my workspace to Classic because I want to have these properties panel open and my pages over here so that I can easily access things. Okay, so I'm going to select my logo design text over here, and I'm going to change my fill color to my dark ochre over here. And then I can basically copy and paste this text box over to any page that I want and build out whatever I need to show. I'm actually going to also add just a small little text box right over here like this that gives just a little bit of context to my work. So if I wanted to add a sentence or two to give my audience, whoever's looking at it, a little bit of information or context about the artwork that I'm showing, I can do that. I don't know what I'm going to write yet, so I'm going to fill it with placeholder text. I'm going to go to type, and I'm going to go to fill with placeholder text for now. And then I'm going to change that around to actual sentences and actual content. So again, I'm going to change my font over here to be Jose Sans, or Jose Fin Sans, and I'm going to make this light. And I'm going to change the color to match my color scheme. Now, I'm going to use my darker color over here just to kind of give it a little bit of a darker color, not quite black, but dark, almost like black, to give it some contrast from the background. And I'm just going to simply copy this over because I want to edit it. So I'm going to copy it from the first page, and I'm going to move it to my third page over here. And if I hit Shift Command V, or Shift Option Command V, Shift Option Command V, it'll paste it in the exact same place. You can also, if you double click on the next page, you can also right click and click on Paste in Place, and that'll put it in the exact same place as well. So you can copy it in the exact same spot, and then edit this to whatever the page is going to be featuring, whether that's photographs, t-shirt design, poster design, etc. Cool. And that's my layout. I have my layout all set up. I can always change the layout as well, kind of based on where or how I'm placing my artwork. I can always move things around if I want to, right? I can kind of place this over here or maybe on the bottom. It just depends on how I'm going to lay out and place my images. So you can, again, hit W, and that kind of shows you a little preview of what that page would look like. And you can still edit in preview mode too by moving things around as well. So I kind of have this basic structure set up now. And this is where I want to start bringing in my work. Okay, so page 1, my cover, I'll leave that for later. Page 2, I'm going to start with logo design. I'm going to open up my portfolio examples over here, and I have some branding pictures and images that I'm going to drop in to my logo design page. I might need to have 2 or 3 pages, or I might just need 1 page. It kind of depends on how many I want to show on my page. But it's pretty straightforward. I can grab more than one and just drag and drop them into my page over here like this. And I can sort of just place them how I feel I want to place them, like this. Actually, that one is a GIF, so I'm not going to use that one. Can't show the animation here on the page, so I'll delete that one later. But I can show all the different artwork over here like so. That one is also a GIF. Sorry about that one. I can show the ones that are not animated over here. And I can just kind of place them, put them here, resize them if I need to. This one's a little bit too big because I just clicked, but this is kind of how you want to start setting up your pages. I'm holding Shift and Command when I'm resizing it so that it can resize in a nice scale, locked the ratio down. So if I wanted to have just one on here, depending on how I want to feature it, I can also, here we go, let's just remove all this. Let's just go with one for this page. I can put the one Food Quest logo over here, make it nice and big. Since this is kind of blocking this background to make sure that it doesn't look like it was a mistake or a printing error because of the white space that's over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add either a stroke or maybe a drop shadow with 0 distance, so I can have this outline on it and it looks like it actually has been placed intentionally and not a print error. And I can have this little paragraph right over here that kind of explains the logo design, maybe my thought process, who the client was, why I chose those color choices, etc. Right? If I created a brand system for it, then I might change this to branding, and I might add the color scheme somewhere over here in the corner, and why I chose the different colors over here, right? So I might do something like this, and I might choose, whoops, let's try that again. I might choose this color over here for this one, so I can highlight that that is the color that I chose. Maybe I'll copy this over, and then I'll change this color to my secondary color that I used for this logo, and explain the branding system that I created over here. So I have a color palette and a logo and a little bit of information or context explaining my the artwork that's on here. Right? The next page I can continue. I can continue adding, let's go with this one over here. I'll put this like this right there. I'll pick another one. Let's maybe go with, well, I have a whole page for that one, but let's go with this one. I'll put this one over here like that. Maybe make that a little bit larger. Let me hit W so I can see the boxes that I'm using over here. And one thing that you can do too is once you have created this style for this object, you can also create object styles to be consistent with any of the items that you're putting on your portfolio. So one thing that I like to do is go to Window, and I like to go to Styles and click on Object Styles, and that'll pop this up over here. And you can add a new style by clicking the plus button over here, create a new style, and I'm going to call this object Frame. Okay, I'm going to click OK. And now when I click on these these items over here, I can click on Frame, and that'll add my style that I created over here. And let's actually make the inside a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay, so now when I hit W to preview, I have these like that in the same style that I've had for this branding one. And now I have some logo designs over here. Maybe I want to make this a little bit longer to kind of, whoops, select both of these, move these up, and add a couple more over here. Add my frame style over here, and I can kind of continue adding more images and have a little bit of an explainer. And now that I have my background all done, I kind of know how I want my layout to be over here, consistent all the time. The only thing that might change is my text. I might move that text down over here. Maybe I'll move that up this way, and I'll kind of play around with those settings. And again, I'm holding Shift and Command on a Mac to make that larger. Okay. And let's make sure I click that frame again, because sometimes when you do make things a little bit larger, it will sort of adjust the style of that shadow. So you want it to be consistent. Of course, you can do an outline. You can also create sort of a rounded corners as well. And then you can change that style over here. Update these to rounded corners if you so choose. That should be that way. Sorry about that. There we go. Like that. So you can kind of change things around how you see fit and customize it how you like it. If you had a PNG file that has a clear background, then you might not need to add a hard border around it because it'll show through any background elements that you have. So that's one thing you might want to consider when laying things out and designing them as well. But the idea is to fill out our portfolio with our work so that we can see our wonderful work here. So here's an example. I think I have some PNG files over here, and this is things that are for a specific company that I worked on. So this one is kind of a nice, whoop, nope, that's not a PNG. Not a transparent PNG at least. There we go, that's a transparent PNG. I can sort of put that in there, and because it's a transparent PNG, it shows the background element that appears here all the way through it, right? So you don't have to kind of create a box for it. It kind of fits in nicely into the image here. And of course, you kind of have so you kind of have a title for that and a little bit of info over here for it. So it kind of depends on how you want to lay it out and how you want to feature it, what you want to say about it. Options are there for you, right? So you can kind of play around with that template that you created. Sometimes you might not need an explainer. It kind of just depends on what you are looking to create. But you definitely want to keep that in mind. So the hardest part, of course, is going to be just selecting how you want your background to be. And then you can start filling it in with your artwork. And that's pretty much what I kind of wanted to show and do a little bit of a workshop to get you going, get you started. Hopefully you already are started, but this will get you going. It'll help you kind of realize that once you do a template for all your pages, you can be consistent throughout and make it look good. Pick a style, be consistent with that style, and you can add variety to the layout by shifting certain elements around that you might want to shift around as far as the content itself goes. So hopefully this is helpful. It gives you a little bit of inspiration or a good start for you to start putting in your work into your portfolio. And then once you have everything in your portfolio on all the pages, then you can individually sort of go into each individual piece and decide on whether or not you need to improve that piece, whether it is portfolio worthy, or if it's going to not really do justice for you. So you might have to pull some things out, or decide on what's better to use. It's always good if you have more than 24 pages worth of content, because then you can pick the very best of it. A little bit more difficult if you have less than 24 pages of work, because then you'll have to create the content that you'll need to fill that work out. But I will try to also give you an idea by kind of completing the portfolio as well, and giving you an example of another portfolio that you can kind of use as inspiration, outside of the ones that we already have examples of. So please feel free to look at Blackboard as well. Take a look at the portfolios that the other students have as examples. Use that as inspiration, and remember, the key is to let your work do the talking for you. You don't necessarily want to get distracted by too many background elements, if it's too busy, if it clashes too much, if you're going like a Lisa Frank zebra print mode with hot pinks and rainbows, that might be very distracting from the actual work that you're trying to show. So in this case, I really do recommend subtlety and pulling back on the extreme backgrounds, and really making sure that the work that you're showing doesn't necessarily clash with the background. So subtle, neutral colors that help your work stand out, give you enough contrast and readability for your images that you're showing. All right, so we'll end the recording there, and good luck, and I can't wait to see what you come up with.